G'day punters, welcome to Victims of the Punt. We've got the Rosehill meeting. We had the Coolmore Classic there on Saturday on what was a drying track and nice conditions for the first time in quite a while in Sydney. But to help us find a few winners going forward, here's Mark Shean, Mark Rhoden and Rob Scurry. Mark Shean, if I start with yourself, overall, how'd you see the day?
Well, the inside obviously off there. We got a good guide from that from the first race, and then I think the second race confirmed it. So I'm not sure you could come, right round the outside, but they did in the last, I suppose. But sort of up and in, and then cutting the corner seemed to be probably the best place to be. We had a good meeting at Canberra yesterday as well, so plenty of action over the weekend.
Yep, Mark Rhoden. We certainly saw some decent performances there and some pretty strong figures on punting form started, that's for sure.
Yeah, very good run by the filly. She's extreme. She has to back up 7 days later to win the Golden Slipper, but on figures, she's right in that race. Good day's racing overall, but especially when you combine it with the results from Flemington, I reckon the bookmakers must have absolutely filled up because plenty of well-backed and short-price horses hit the deck. Some of them won, like Taxu was well-backed and won, but a lot of favourites hit the deck there.
Yeah, exactly. And Rob, how'd you find it in the yard?
I had a new spot. I was down with the movers and shakers of the members. I wasn't allowed to have my normal spot, but look, I made a mistake about race 5, I think, with not backing Stockman, so after that I just sort of didn't go as well as I would have liked. But it was a good day. It was good to have some decent weather, and the track's always hard. With I was thinking for race 1 it'll probably be on fence like last time, and I was completely wrong. So it's hard to know.
Okay, well, let's start with race 2. It was for the 2-year-old fillies over 1,200, and look, fast tempo here. They've gone best part of 4 lengths fast to the 600, and look, She's Extremes put the biggest 2-year-old figure on the board here coming out of Sydney. Rob, just run us through some of these in terms of type.
Yeah, she looked, the winner, I couldn't find anything wrong with her. She looked sharp to me. She looked happy to be there. She had good condition on her. So I was happy enough to, back the drift, so to speak. Look, my old girl, Miss Fabergé, is a smallish type. I thought she was better at the first run when she was maybe a bit unlucky that day. Don't think much of the Godolphin horse, Magic Carpet, outside the winner. I'll be interested with what Mark Shean thinks, but I thought the only other small player I had was this thing that ran last, the 7. I thought that horse had something, but obviously didn't handle the track or something went miss with it because it seems to have run, well last.
Mark Shean, how did you find this 2-year-old? You obviously threw it out there on the previous show.
Yeah, and as I said to you boys before we came on air, I'm not going to tell you what price it took because it's utterly embarrassing now, considering it SP 350 and was even better on the fair. I thought it was an odds-on chance in the morning, and they were starting to back things that had run second last at the Caulfield, and the thing that had trolled hopelessly was $11 into 7. So I was scratching my head. Look, she's a nice filly. She does love the wet track. Whether we're going to get as much rain to really get a heavy track on Saturday, I suppose it's not going to dry out that much. It's still going to be rain affected to some extent, you would think. I think Swift Sweet's a nice filly. She's a big, strong girl. I thought she went a lot better at Canterbury when they rode her back, and they elected to ride her a little bit forward on Saturday, and she was posted wide without cover. I think she's not a bad filly, and she's probably on the cusp of maybe black type to Saturday company. And this Yankee Hustle took my eye in the yard. I think she'll be suited when she gets to 1,400 or 1,600 metres. She hit the line well. She's an American Pharaoh. Just found the 1,200 a bit short, but she was coming back in distance from Newcastle, and I think once she gets up in trip, she'll be suited when she gets to 14 or 16.
Okay. And Mark Rhoden, look, just going off the figure on the quick backup, it is on the heavy track, obviously, so I guess there is a small query there, but, likely similar conditions this Saturday. You'd have to say that this horse is up to its eyeballs, but it's been a very difficult 2-year-old year trying to find a standout, isn't it?
Certainly. Look, I think at the price, I just had a quick glance then, she's $11 for the slipper. I'm looking at some of the horses that are shorter than her. I think I'd almost have to back her and just trust the figure and hope she can back it up 7 days later. It was a dominant win. She was never going to lose. If Mark thought she was an odds-on chance in the morning, he must have thought she was about a tens-on chance at the 600 because she was absolutely trucking it behind her. just a matter of if she let down when he hit the button, and that she did. Yeah, $11, good price. Am I missing something? It looks a good price.
Okay. Well, the Colts and Geldings in race 3, very slow tempo here, 5.5 lengths slow to the 600, and look, the leaders just managed to control this and hold off Sweet Ride there. Rise of the Masses was the winner, and Magic was in third. Rob, what do you think of these bunch?
I thought the Quinella both looked a bit fresh to me, especially Sweet Ride. It looked like it was needed the run a little bit, and maybe the first and second have got something, but as the figures and time suggest, the Colts are way off the pace. Whether Magic looked as good as he did when he had his first start, I'm not sure. I got sucked into him. I thought, I was back to the drift in the last one, and I went again. As I thought maybe he had a class edge on them, not to be. The other one I liked in the race was the 5, Williamsburg. He's sort of a rangy style of 2, so maybe he doesn't appreciate the soft track, so maybe you could forgive him. And Peace Officer, I'm going off him a little bit. He's not parading professional enough for me. But look, there's something. They've got something. The 1 and the 2. I think they'll both be in the slipper next week. And look, they've certainly ticked the wet track box, and they've both got improvement to come with fitness, I think.
Mark Shean, are you following any of these Colts or Geldings?
No, I think they're absolutely legless. They ran a second slower than the fillies at Randwick, and they've run a second slower than the fillies again here. They're dead set midweekers.
Yep. And Mark Rhoden, that's certainly the way, like, you're having a look at the slow tempo here and just have a look at the final splits, and it's nothing that takes your eye.
No. Look, what we might have learned about Magic is that he either needs a dryer or he needs a very fast pace, because he looked very one-paced on Saturday off the slow tempo. He might need just a real sort of last man standing affair where they've gone too hard up front because he doesn't have a turn of foot on wet ground at least. I think the clock says it all here.
Yep. Another slow race in race 4, the Ajax over 1500. Look, 5 lengths slow to the 600, and again, Just Folk was on pace. Ellsberg was outside the leader, and they fought it out the finish. Rob, how do you see this group in the yard?
Oh, look, I've got a history with Ellsberg. He's one of the best-looking horses in Sydney, but I couldn't come into him. I just was too. I was guarded. I thought the winner. He's actually my horse to follow out of the meeting. I thought he looked slightly underdone. He's obviously a very good wet tracker, but I think he'll likely get a wet track in the Doncaster, and he might be a show in a race like that. Ellsberg, is he just a control freak? Does he just have to lead? The betting in the run suggested not, as he was trading, in the red all the way around, just about. I think he's much better when he gets his own way. Kiku parades like she does. I hadn't seen Brutality parade any better than that. Wairi Falls probably needs a firmer track. Blue Soldier, I'm not sure if it's got anything.
Yeah, Mark Shean, what did you think of this race?
Yeah, well, look, I had Just Folk on top of my ratings, but as I said on the previous show, he'd had that setback and had 4 weeks between runs, which put me off him. Ellsberg paraded beautifully, but just didn't get control here. Blue Soldier led him, and that probably cost him the race, really. He wasn't able to dominate and kick when he wanted to. Away from that, Brutality's probably just waiting for Joe Pride to put the blinkers back on, and they press the button again. So just the tempo of the race probably was against him. Second up, not much you can say. Probably first and second dominated the race, and they're the two to go forward into better races.
Yep. Mark Rhoden, any of these runners pose an interest going forward?
I think you can't really say you've been stiff with Ellsberg, but if you backed him, but he's gone very well again, considering everything. Yeah, the pace played into his hands, but he wasn't leading, which he probably prefers to do. But he's still run pretty well up to what he did last time, and he's just run into a superior wet tracker on the day, I think, and beaten third by 2.5 lengths. So there's nothing wrong with his performance. Just Folk obviously is in anything when the track gets wet. And I'll just make mention, probably the trainer that's getting his horses to improve out of all knowledge at the moment is Danny Williams. The horse has run 5th, but Jelmari on form was entitled to run about 10 lengths last in this, and it was running past the likes of Saturday winners like Wairiri Falls in the last 100 here and savaging the line. His stable is certainly going very well.
Wow, great segue, because race 5 on the card, the Maurice McCarten over 1100, and Here's Shelby 66, even tempo, basically 1 length faster to 600. And look, if you took that last start figure, he hasn't quite run up to that level. He's a couple of lengths off on punting form's data, but it was still well and truly enough to be winning this race. And there he was. But Rob, how did he look in the yard anyway?
I thought he looked better the start before. And I've fallen into a Remark for the first time in my life, who looked like he'd filled out a bit. He did half a lap well, and then he kind of started to fire up a bit, and then he raced like that. So coming back from a throat op, I just think they should just geld this horse and make a racehorse out of him. He's got some talent, and with throat issues, he shouldn't really be a stallion. He wouldn't be. They wouldn't allow it in Japan, which is, as you know, I think the leading example in horse racing in the world. Arrowfield are right for money. So geld him, make him a horse. The second horse continues to look and race really well for Bjorn. That's I don't know how many more runs it's got in the can. I speak of rule of law, obviously. Gravina looked at top to me. So Space Boy I've seen look better. But yeah, I'm mostly interested in Remark and how it parades next time.
Sure. Mark Shean, how did you see this race in the wash-up?
Yeah, what was the figure for the early part there, mate? They didn't look to go that fast in the race, I didn't think.
Yeah. Just basically even tempo and punting form started, not even 1 length. Yeah.
I thought they'd go much quicker. I thought it'd be a bit of a helter-skelter affair, which probably was against Gravina in the long run because he was coming back in distance. He probably needed them to go a little bit quicker. I think he's gone okay. He was heavily backed. Luckily, I saved on the winner just because the figure was there. It was 5 kilos clear on its last run. So one of the boys put up $8 in the ring there and traded a bit better on the fair. So just had to have a nibble and save the race, luckily. Rule of law, very consistent. Had a good run, but tried hard. And as Rob said, Remark, well, he just pulled his head off, and I don't know, he's a head scratcher.
Yep. Mark Rhoden, have you quite seen a horse improve this rapidly over the space of 4 runs?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, if you ignored last week and took this run in isolation, you'd say it was an outlier.
Yeah.
I've got it. What is it? Is it down a couple on punting form? I've got it down about 3.
About 2.
Yeah. So we're in the same ballpark there.
And a chance of starting in the Galaxy this week, apparently.
Well, why not? How many in a row will that be?
That's 5 in a row.
5 Saturdays in a row. You're silly not to. As I'm saying, this figure would be an outlier compared to his highway form, and yet it's 3 lengths off his peak from last week. I have no idea what to do with him. As I think I might have said to you on Saturday, completely stupid not backing him at $9 when you got to $9 on Betfair. Because if you just plugged in the figure from last start, you had him $1.20 or something. Yeah. So it was just the most obvious bet of all time, and I managed to miss it. Anyway, live and learn.
All right, race 6, the Phar Lap Stakes, Group 2 over 1,500. Very slow tempo here, 8 lengths slow to the 600. Mr. Mozart settled up second, and obviously the horses on speed were the ones that were giving the best kicks. Rob, did you have any interest here? Go again, Rob, you're on mute.
Sorry, mate. I thought Fangirl was going to win this for sure on looks. It just looked perfect to me. Mr. Mozart looked slightly underdone, which I don't like to see on a wet track. I could say the same about Never Been Kissed, but luckily I stayed out. I'm sort of jury out on the 3-year-old fillies now. Maybe they're no good at all. Maybe just the slow tempo was against her, but I thought she was very disappointing, Mark Shean.
It was a funny run race, wasn't it? Nothing really changed position after Mr. Mozart got to the lead there. I got to agree, I didn't really like the look of him in the yard. I've backed him a couple of times in past preparations, and he was on the end of an awful ride at Caulfield, but he certainly bounced back here. He didn't have any wet form, but I suppose he'd bred to handle it with that breeding, so he got through it and nothing really made ground. Fangirl and Roots were disgraceful. The first 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 round the turn, ran 1, 2, 3.
Mark Rhoden, look, not a great race to review, just purely off the numbers.
No, Mr. Mozart's gone well with everything in his favour. Good ride, stacked them up and gave a good kick, got home well enough. Probably characters the run of the race. He obviously looking to further run in the BRC Derby, I think, didn't he, last spring? I suppose he's heading that way. I'm not sure if he's good enough, but that's the way he's heading. He's kicking over all right. Yeah, those fillies are disappointing. There was just no... There was just so much resistance to Fangirl's Price. You know, that every time they tried to push it, the market pushed back on it. It was very, very well backed, and it's gone terribly. And well, Roots, the other one, drifted. The stablemate, interestingly enough, was even worse. So, yeah, I don't know what we do with the form from the race because it was so slowly run. But you must say the favourite was terribly disappointing.
Okay, race 7 was the Sky High Stakes over 2,000 metres. Fast tempo here, so 3.2 lengths fast to the 600. And Stockman's run over the top of Mount Popper there in the concluding stages. Rob, you mentioned Stockman earlier.
Yeah, look, he just looks, he looks at top, as I like to say. Coat looked good. I was keen to bet in the races. I couldn't have Mount Popper in a staying race parading like he was. I know he does get toey, but he was in a lather by the time they went onto the course. So I ended up backing my old mate Skylab, which is a horse I just can't make work. This is sort of like, this is my day right here. And I just thought, he ran well, Skylab, forgive the run. I thought the barrier one played against him. He couldn't quite get off where you swap his run with Stockman. He races on that outside spot. I think he goes close to winning, but that's not the way it works. But look, I think it's a good run. That's what I'm trying to say. Great House looked half run short to me. I couldn't quite give him the perfect waller, as I like to describe him. He looked a little bit fat, so it's a good run. Maybe he can be followed. I could say similar to the about the Kira Ma horse. I thought that looks a nice enough type, but I thought it would improve at that run.
What's your thoughts here, Mark Shean?
Yeah, I think the whole point of the race was Mount Popper, who didn't parade very well at Randwick. He was worse on Saturday. He was a dead set mess, as Rob said. So, he was pretty easy there late in the betting and looked away from just the way that he walked around in the yard, but he still ran a pretty good race under the circumstances. Stockman just got conditions to suit and a very good ride, got him into a good spot, Sam Clipperton, got him rolling when he needed to. Skylab, as Rob said, just got in an awkward spot and he couldn't pick up. I said Friday that, he got pace the other day and then he didn't get pace on Saturday, but I still fell into him. I'm an imbecile.
Mark Rhoden, you were keen to be with Mount Popper, and although he looked like he was going to get run over the top, he did keep finding there, and obviously the parade was against him as well.
Yeah, I wasn't in a very good mood going into this race. He was my biggest bet of the day. Got the phone call from Mr. Scurry about 5 minutes before the race, giving me the bad news, and then I actually caught sight of him on TV myself, and they confirmed it. He was very, very hot, wasn't he? And it's still nearly won. And I'm probably splitting hairs here, but I thought the ride was just a touch timid. I would have rather them up sitting outside and eyeballing Spirit Ridge because they weren't going hard. But he was obviously in such a state that I don't know whether that would have made the difference at the end. Stockman, a superior wet tracker, got conditions to suit in a good ride and got over the top of him. I think Mount Popper, when the stars align, is 2 or 3 lengths better than this field, to be honest. But it just didn't pan out for him on Saturday.
Still waiting. All right, race 8. Let's finish off with the Group 1, the Coolmore Classic. Fast tempo, best part of 4 lengths fast to the 600. Lighthouse went on with the job, obviously had that run behind Forbidden Love last start and has produced a good figure here in winning. Rob, how did they parade?
Most of them pretty well. I thought the winner was maybe better last start when it ran a very credible race, so that put me off. I always find mirror vision. I love it. Mark Shean called himself an imbecile, but I'm a bigger imbecile because I fell into a tissue, which has got a history of running, of not jumping, and it did it again. And then Espiona as well, which I just took the lead that it would paraded poorly when I wasn't there the other week, and it seemed to be parading well. But yeah, that was never a show. So I'd about wanted to leave at this point after a tissue. I felt quite sheepish and just sort of wanted to just tail between my legs stuff. But you got to bet on for the punters. But yeah, it's the winners. Yeah, obviously a good filly, and I'd suggest Mirror Vision will go well again, and Promise of Success will find a race somewhere.
Mark Shean?
I have to agree with Rob. I thought Lighthouse looked great last week, and she just sweated up a little bit on Saturday, which I was definitely going to have something on her, but I ended up giving her a pass. Look, I thought there were 2 really good runs in this. Were Hinged, who was back and wide, no cover, and also Promise of Success. They were both set a massive task, and I thought they both did a fantastic job to make up ground. And it's a head scratcher when you see Hinge come out of that 3-year-old fillies race the other day where she got all favoured and looked to fall in, and they've got Fangirl and Espiona flying home, and they've both gone like bustards on Saturday, and Hinge has run the race of its life. So, again, a bit of a head scratcher there. But I thought both Hinged and Promise of Success certainly outstanding runs. I didn't give Espiona much hope, but it didn't go much good. It's a worry, these fillies. Sometimes they don't come back from one year to another. I had a 2-year-old that was beaten 2 heads in the size by Taggle, and she wouldn't have won at Mudgee in next preparation. So it's a head scratcher.
Mark Rhoden?
Yeah, certainly agree with Mark about Hinged and Promise of Success. Actually, of the two, leaned to Hinged. I thought she was holding Promise of Success in the last 20 metres. I think Promise of Success's run just ended on the line, but it was still a very good effort coming from where she did. We did mention those two, Promise of Success in particular in the previous show, of having good form but bad maps, and that's why it's proved that's cost them there. Nothing wrong with Lighthouse, got the perfect run. It's run right up to its best, can't knock it at all. Interestingly, second winner on this card to come out of the All Stakes. Obviously, strong form reference to that race. And, yeah, well, I suppose Espiona, surely the bubbles burst. I didn't want to have anything to do with it, with the jockey change and the fact she'd been laying in. But she went even far worse than I would have imagined. I didn't like it, didn't think she'd win, but I didn't think she'd be getting beaten 6 lengths either. She is real back to the drawing board material now.
I don't think anyone thought she'd be second last on the fence though either. But
no, they didn't. No, I understand that, but
she went.
The jockeys were declared on Wednesday. Something was going to go wrong.
All right, very good. We'll leave it there. I'll get some horses to follow from each of you. Mark Shean.
Yeah, a bit of a tricky day. Look, I think Yankee Hustle, as I said, going up in Trick will certainly be one to follow out of race number 2. So, yeah, maybe if she finds a fillies race over 14 going forward.
Okay, Mark Rhoden.
Character, Hinged, and we'll just put a yard watch, won't we, for forever, basically, for every start for the rest of its life on Mount Popper. Because one day it's going to come out in a race by a couple of things.
And Rob, a horse to follow from yourself.
I'd say just folk can expect a wet Doncaster, so it should be in there up to its eyeballs. It's got good improvement in it, and I want to put a yard watch on this thing for Uncle Chris in the last race. It was the reason I wanted to bet in the race, not in the last race, in race 9. Called
Syndicato.
Syndicato. This looks like a horse that it's got a nice long stride, which I don't think would have been suited on a wet track, and it paraded similar to Mount Popper, which is very unlike Uncle Chris. So, that's a yard watch for me, and maybe I could say the same about Remark.
Okay. That's the thing, Rob, that bolted and did a lap and was a late scratching there at Rosehill a couple of weeks ago. So it's obviously got a little bit of form in that regard.
Mm. All right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We've got a big week ahead, obviously. Saturday, Golden Slipper Day, 5 Group 1s. Mark Shean, there's not too much rain around, but there is some around.
Yeah, I think some predicted small spits and every day, I think. So I don't know what you'll end up with there.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll wait until Friday. We'll preview the 5 Group 1s then. Until then, guys, go well.